Hello and welcome back to a podcast about George Costanza's engagement. The Thunk Tankers are back with me for part 2 of George Costanza's engagement. We broke it up just because it was running a little long, so we want to break it up into a part 1 and part 2. If the 6 or 7 of you that stuck with us through part 1, glad to have you back. You can expect a lot more of the same because we're going to dive right in, picking up at the Marble Riot episode and then going through the rest of George Costanza's engagement and kind of the fallout with the Rosses, and then we do a little trivia challenge at the end of this episode. So stay tuned. Glad to have you back. If you missed part 1, go back and listen to part 1 first because you're going to be kind of lost if you're picking up just in part 2. Thanks for coming back. Here we go. So the next one is everyone's favorite, the Marble Ride, or just
watched that this morning.
One of the best.
I'm on George's side on this one again. Not with the whole baiting the hook thing.
Yeah,
but
I think that's fair.
The Rosses didn't put the rye out. They should be the assholes in this situation. He should get that rye back in there so they feel like the assholes.
And that's such a Larry David thing where when you watch Curb, a lot of times you watch it and you think, oh yeah, Larry's being a total asshole, but there's a lot of other times where you watch it and you feel, wait a minute, these people are the assholes. It's just
he's just not reacting in the right way to it, right?
Exactly, or like you can't call them out because of this current situation, but they're doing something wrong compared to him.
There's no question the Rosses are disturbing people. I was just watching this episode.
It's just not as overt as the Costanzas.
That dinner.
So you've got the rooster, the chicken, and the hen. That's one of my favorite quotes to give to people too, because they're just like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?"
Mr. Ross is hunched over at the dinner table like a demon. Like he's like so disgusted by being in the presence of the Costanzas.
And also his
Mrs. Ross can't have enough wine.
Yeah, she's just downing the wine.
Well, he also like they all hate each other. Like Mrs. Ross hates Mr. Ross, like, and vice versa. Like,
he had a relationship with John Cheever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the meal is so delicious. Why are you complimenting her? She didn't cook it.
If I had a nickel or a dime for every book he's read in that library, I'd be broke.
What's a game bird? Is that a hunting bird? He goes, yes. He just looks up and goes, yes.
Like, you shoot it? Yes.
Yeah. Don't spoil it. I like to go in fresh.
I like to go in fresh.
It's deliberate, I tell you.
It doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
Yeah, there's so many great like one-off lines in that episode. It's just like yelling psychotic.
Merlot, never heard of it.
And Frank and Estelle are trying to like be nice and be on their best behavior, but they slip into themselves every once in a while.
Yeah. That's what's funny is like that dinner is them being on their best behavior. Holy cow. That's a scene, man. Like that's
Frank Costanza's trying to be interesting. He thinks about birds like that, you know?
You have a
I like in the episode where they go to Jerry's dating the girl with all the toy collection, and George brings his home movies to kind of lull her to sleep.
Oh my god!
And you hear in the background them yelling about like his birthday or going into the rest stop, whatever it was, and it's just like they're just yelling at the top of their lungs over the most mundane things.
It's a home video of them on a road trip, I think, and they're at the rest stop, and George goes, ignore this part. This is where they changed me, and Jerry goes, you're 8 years old. And I forget what George's follow-up is, but it's just like, wait, what? Like, what was this childhood with the Costanzas? Like, clearly, it's beyond insanity, and it's
and his dad would apparently go on month-long trips trying to find a new car and state to state. Yeah.
But it does give a lot of context into how
George became George.
In a lot of ways, he's a tragic character, not because of just like his decisions, but also the fact
there's no way he was escaping it.
He didn't have a chance. Like I think Jerry says when the Costanzas
no siblings either where it could be dispersed.
When his parents are like getting divorced, he says like too bad they didn't do this 30 years ago. He could have ended up normal.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, maybe like he might have had a chance then.
Do you think they tuck the marble right back? Those people, yes, they're sick.
Well, you know the reference there. He does reference that he has a brother early on in the series. When he goes to the psychic,
yes,
he says to the psychic, "My brother."
His brother once impregnated a woman named
Clarice or something, right? Like,
no,
I forget the name, but he does mention that
Pauline.
He has a brother.
Pauline. That sounds right.
But he does.
That was going to be one of my trivia questions, but it's not. I bumped it for something different. Of what the girl's name who his brother impregnated was.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So to be fair to George, though, even though it was selfishly motivated, he set up a really nice anniversary date for the Rosses on the handsome cab ride with the hot chocolate and
Not
the blanket.
For any good reason.
But objectively, you're right.
Well,
That's like a very nice evening.
And it was with Kramer's handsome cab who fed the Rusty way too much beefarino.
Also, the Rosses looked like they were like genuinely trying to have a good time.
Yeah, they were enjoying their night.
They kissed each other and they were cuddling, and then the horse started farting.
Well, in that sense, Kramer really is like a genie, because George says, like, when Kramer's like a minute late, as soon as he's like a minute late,
how did I rest?
George says, my whole plan is relying on Kramer. What was I thinking? And then Kramer comes and he's like, oh, good, the plan's going to go through, and then it still gets messed up. Because it is Kramer. It's like the thing that you thought Kramer would mess up by being late. Of course, Kramer doesn't mess up that, obviously.
Yeah.
He messed up by feeding the horse beefarino. Like,
it's like when Elaine brings Kramer over to get her to change her friend's hairstyle, and he's like, no, I really like your hairstyle, and ends up dating her.
Because Kramer's a wild card. You can't count on him for one specific like kind of thing.
Yeah, his consistency is very inconsistent in terms of like what is he gonna like? What is his element in any given situation? Like, you don't know going
wild
in.
Card.
He's the wild card.
He's
the
wild card.
He is the Charlie and the Charlie Kelly. Yeah.
So the next episode, we've got the caddy, Stan the caddy.
Caddy.
This is another look at good guy George. You know, he's got his little break from work because his car's stuck there. Takes Susan on a nice long weekend in the Adirondacks.
Oh yeah.
That's a legitimate. That's not selfishly motivated in any way, other than him being in his office could only hurt his chances of getting a promotion.
And also he's letting his company think that he's working hard, when really just not there.
Which, if he were home, he'd have to pull his car out of there.
Right. Yeah.
And then that would look bad because he clearly can't be at work that early. No. You know.
Right.
That's not going to work.
So he takes her on a long weekend, which is a very nice thing. They rebuilt the cabin, so they're going back. That was just a nice thing that George did. So out of 12 episodes, we've had one actually good point for George. Way to go, George.
I would say I'll give him like 1.5 because I thought the handsome cab ride that was nice in principle.
Okay. Yeah.
To go back to the handsome cab ride thing, when he's making that plan and Jerry says, I'll pick up the marble rye, there's this childlike moment of excitement that comes from George where he's like, this whole thing's like, it's coming together. It's going to work.
Locking in now.
It's locking in. And he has this moment of excitement. And then Kramer says, hey, George, you want to come down and say hi to the horse? And he gets genuinely excited to go down and say hi to the horse. And he asks Elaine, he goes, Elaine, you want to go see the horsey? And Elaine just shuts the door in his face.
Slams it in his face, yeah.
The characters at different times have these really genuine moments of like trying to have real connection, but it never lines up with the other characters, and they shut it down real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Poor George.
Poor George.
Yeah.
So next we've got the 7, where he just.
Did you really?
It's an objectively terrible name for a child.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
And not only is it a bad name, like it doesn't mean it means something to him in his mind, but it doesn't mean anything to Susan. So he should be able to see from her point of view why it's bad. And he just goes too far to lay his claim to it, like chasing down her cousin or whoever it is that took the name.
If that really matters, anyways. There's 2 people in New York City named 7. Oh boy.
Oh, it has cachet.
Yeah, like they're gonna happen upon each other.
It has cachet. Yep, the yin yang.
I don't know how much cachet it had to begin with.
Yeah.
Which one was better?
I like Isosceles much better.
7 or Soda?
Isosceles.
Yeah. Oh, Soda.
Isosceles.
Soda was another one. Yeah.
Well, Soda's what he recommends to people at the original.
Yeah, I think 7's better.
And another time, by the way, Susan broke George's unspoken vault because she on the phone mentioned 7, even though that was sort of a between them conversation.
Yeah, he wanted. Well, that was the one. Like Soda, he said is just a nice name, but 7 was the one where he was like, "That's what
he was holding on to.
Name my child because it's gonna happen."
Oh, and I love when they are having that conversation.
So I'm with George on Bosco still.
He mentioned 7, and Susan's not having it at all, and George has a freak out in the car.
And has to yell out the window.
He yells out the window.
Yeah. Let's not go into panic mode.
He just screams out the window in New York City.
That's a fantastic scene of just him not being able to deal.
Yeah. That scream wasn't just like, oh, we're disagreeing about the name of our potential future baby. It was like, why am I with this woman kind of scream.
Why am I with this reality?
Yes. This woman understands nothing about me and why I do what I do.
Nor should she, because you're crazy and you don't
because he's the crazy one.
Yeah. Well, they might both be crazy, but he's certainly crazy in his own very unique way.
Yes. So in the next episode, the Cadillac, this is the exit ramp that George should have taken. This is the one where he gets set up on a date with Marissa Tomei.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At this point, yeah, you're going to look like a little bit of an asshole for breaking off the engagement. But you don't have to tell Marissa Tomei you're engaged.
This is true.
You're not married. You just leave that part out. You break Susan's heart. That's going to be rough for a couple days, but at the end of the day, you get to she won't die, and you get to maybe go on 2 dates with Marissa Tomei. Like, how many shots do you have with an Oscar winner?
An Oscar winner, Jerry. An Oscar winner.
And after like 2 weeks, nobody's gonna care anymore that he broke up with Susan, especially his friend. Like, his friends don't care that he breaks up with Susan.
They got right over her death.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know anybody else.
He didn't do that because he's just not smart enough? Like, he's not savvy enough? Or, like, why?
Well, no, because she asked him the question, how isn't someone like you taken? And right. he thinks at this point he's doing so well that he can come clean that he's engaged, and she punches him in the face.
That is what happens, yeah.
It's like, no, you're not doing so well.
Yeah.
You happen to weirdly...
I mean, he did have the Ma Noor bit.
Ma Noor. And that comes back at actually the very end of the season. Remember, this comes back up. Can I spoil it? I don't want to spoil it.
I'm forgetting exactly when it comes back up.
No, this is when it comes. That was the second time it had come up.
At the very end of season 7.
It comes up a third time?
At the very end of season 7, like the after credits or like the during credits scene, he calls on the phone Marissa Tomei.
Oh, he calls Marissa Tomei.
Oh, yeah, like, remember I said I was engaged? Yeah, well, I'm not engaged anymore. And there's a pause and he just goes, oh, she died. And then he goes, yeah, so the funeral's this weekend or Friday, but I'm pretty open on this weekend. And then you just hear click. And he goes, hello?
I thought you meant the manure came back, not
no.
Yeah,
but like the fact that he's so stupid
that he could go back, yeah.
Like, maybe he could, but not if you tell her, oh, like, my fiance just died today. The funeral's Friday, but my weekend's open because that was fake to begin with. It's like, that doesn't establish your credibility.
He's not thinking that the new female will be worried that he could get over his fiance's death that quickly.
Because he's so, I don't know what he is. Is that stupidity? Is that shallowness?
All of it. And then in season 8, somebody asks him about his engagement and asks how it worked out, and he just shrugs and goes, no complaints.
No complaints, yeah. Oh, I think he goes into the store where he ordered the envelopes, right?
Oh, yeah. That's at the end of season 8 when he's getting the envelopes for Jerry's girlfriend's party.
How'd that work out? No complaints.
Yeah. No complaints. My fiance only died specifically of the glue in the envelopes. But no complaints.
Because I was too cheap to pay for better envelopes. Yeah.
Jesus.
Classic. So the next episode is the showerhead. I don't have anything on their relationship in that one. I can't even think of what George's... Oh, that's the one where George is trying to get his parents to move to Del Boca Vista.
Oh, that's
You think you can keep us out of Del Boca Vista?
We're coming in lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to be in the pool.
We're going to be in the clubhouse. That's one of my favorite just Frank Costanza moments. Like, just the fact that he
calls, phone call.
That phone call just to, like, some weird, like power dynamic move where he's just like, and I dare you to try to keep us out. And slams down the phone.
Also, the concept of, so they had shower heads that they were presumably happy with, and then they got changed. So instead of getting a model similar to what they had, they decided to go with the elephant.
They can't just go to Walmart. Get a shower head.
Right. They got to get the black market shower guy who goes, no, that's not for sale. That's for elephants at the circus.
The Commando 8?
The Commando. And Kramer goes like, yeah, we want that one. That's the one we want.
That's the one we want.
Like, why do you want to upgrade from normal shower for humans to elephant shower?
Because Kramer's more dog than human. He sees something, he's like, oh, a toy. Yeah.
And he wants to live his whole life in the shower, as we'll learn later.
This is true. This is very true.
He takes incredibly long showers, so he may need that extra pressure.
Which, that's one of the few things where I'm like, I kind of agree with him. Being in the shower is pretty great.
Oh, it's great. And then the hot water runs out.
Sometimes I'll take a second shower in the day, just like, because it kind of feels good.
Yeah, it's great thinking time, too.
He's not wrong, yeah.
You can't wear headphones in the shower. Not yet, at least.
Soon.
Yeah, but cell phones are waterproof now, so you can bring them in with you. I got a little stand in there.
Oh, really?
That's what I mean. It's coming, yeah. Shower
I actually prefer to, like, I because I could put, like, a Bluetooth speaker in there and like play a podcast or
Mhm.
something like that. But I actually prefer it to be like super quiet time where I just kind of like sometimes I just sit under the hot water. I'm like,
Yeah, I agree. Like,
you must not have a 4 and a 2-year-old. That's my YouTube watching time.
Oh, fair enough. I definitely don't have them.
yeah, those are factors that, like, yeah, I would do as much as I can in the shower than watching YouTube or podcast.
My wife and I both. My wife will take hers in there and she'll watch whatever reality show she's watching, and I take mine, and that's when I get all my caught up on my YouTube videos.
Oh, that's
from the
really
week.
interesting.
Hilarious,
Huh. Okay.
As long as that water's running, nobody can come in there.
Exactly.
You're taking a shower.
Yeah.
Yep. The next episode is the doll.
Oh,
yeah.
I
And
love that episode.
I'm with George again. Susan should have at least put the doll away. She didn't have to get rid of it, but she should have put the doll away. That thing was
Compromise.
creepy, and it looked just like his mom.
And
Yeah.
there's no arguing that it looked like his mom.
Yeah,
He sort of
and
plays-
you have all your other dolls. It wasn't her only doll.
Right.
If that was her only doll, then okay, you can fight for it.
Well,
but
not only does it look exactly like George's mom, but even if it didn't, it's creepy as hell to
Right.
begin with.
Even if it were a random,
yes,
like.
well, most porcelain dolls are creepy as hell.
Yeah,
so.
also,
Right.
you don't sleep with porcelain dolls like that.
Yeah.
Like you can't
No,
cuddle
yeah.
up with a porcelain doll because your body weight will just shift on it.
Also,
and
I
break it.
wouldn't be comfortable living with somebody who just sleeps with like 30 dolls in their bed. Like
Yes.
that weirds me out, dude.
One of my
Well, she had most of them on a shelf, and then she would bring like one down to sleep with. I thought.
A few, like I think
I
she had
thought there
2 or
was
3
a few,
on the
yeah.
bed. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
still too many like tiny.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
It's one of my favorite things
things.
about Seinfeld is so
Yeah.
many things don't make sense, like logically, that are just part of the plot. That if you would get angry if it were something like Harry Potter, but because it's Seinfeld, it's just part of what's driving this
It's just
hilariousness
ridiculous, yeah.
forward.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
So next we have the Friars Club, and this is one where just George does everything in his power to be able to go on dates and enjoy himself, as long as he doesn't actually have to entertain or interact with Susan.
Right.
So he gets Jerry to date Susan's friend, so
Oh.
Susan has someone to talk with, and George and Jerry can just talk the whole time, and George thinks he can be an NFL coach.
I think that's one of the more telling episodes of George, because he's pushing so hard that whole episode to try to regain what he feels like he lost from the pact by thinking, well, if I can get Jerry to
Settle down with
fall
someone.
in love with this
Right.
woman who's so close to Susan and settle down.
Yeah, he's not even pushing Susan anymore. He's trying to make Jerry unhappy because Jerry sours on her, but he doesn't care that Jerry's
Jerry's
sour.
on
He
his
wants
level. That's all that
You
matters.
can't just desour, you got to sweeten too.
Yeah.
But and he says, but like he's so delusional in it. Like there's one point when Jerry realizes that he's lost the jacket. He said George is kind of talking about like how great she is, and Jerry's like, yeah, I didn't really get to talk to her. He's like, but fantastic girl. And then George goes, there's an apartment open up in Susan's building. Like, maybe like I'm not trying to get ahead, but maybe I can hold it. And Jerry just goes, where's my jacket? He's just like on to the next baloney thing. And George is already like 19,000 steps ahead, and it's like, George, you're never gonna get there.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get Jerry on board. He's just delusional.
Also, nice try, George, to like try and trick your brain that like your date with Susan is like a conversation with Jerry, but it's not.
Yeah. It's almost as good.
You're not on a date.
I think he says straight up, it's almost as good as if I didn't get engaged.
Yes. At some point he says that. I don't know if it's this one, but he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, because he's so happy because he's able to like go on double dates with Jerry essentially.
Mm-hmm. And then the next one's the Wigmaster, and I got to take George's side again. 2 weeks is very excessive for a house guest.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 weeks is, let's say, a family member had a crisis of some kind. That's 2 weeks,
And even then, I'd be like, "Can I get you a hotel for a night or two?"
Yeah, it's like, let me help you figure this out at least,
I got some free points.
Yeah. So what's
Wanna go
what's
stay in the
really
Hilton?
going on?
I remember I had a friend staying with me and my girlfriend at the time a couple years back, and him and his girlfriend were in between housing situations, and it was sort of an unknown thing, but like the initial offer that was extended was, if you need a few days for someone, someplace to crash, and that became a week, and then unbeknownst to me, it became like another week. I wasn't asked, like my
it just kind of keeps going.
And then at some point, I had to like just have a house meeting and be like, this is not like a long-term thing, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
what's going on?
Did you guys find a house
like,
yet?
what's up with the apartment search? Like, how's that going? And they were like, oh, we haven't found it.
Just
yet.
leave the paper on the table with some apartments circled, and
Oh, look at the list that fell
It's
on
an
the
outdated
table. Yeah, it
reference,
has
but-
circle
And it
apartments on
was
it.
filled with the hilariousness of like we had one common room and like I'd be watching TV in there. That's where they slept. You know, we had a bedroom and a common room. And they'd be like, "Well, I think we're going to bed." I'd be like, "That's weird because I'm watching TV." Like,
Just like Jerry and Kramer do eventually.
Yeah.
That's in this episode. Because Kramer gets locked out of his apartment because of the Jiffy part.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to stay with Jerry.
And he goes, "Well, I'm gonna
he's ready to go to bed at like 9. Yeah.
Well, Kramer thinks I love too how like it becomes so evident so quickly over the course of the series how Kramer doesn't see Jerry's apartment as Jerry's apartment. He sees
No, that's a suite.
Totally.
That's like
exactly.
the new college dorm style where it's just like there's 4 interconnected rooms with a common living area.
Yep, and there's a bridge in between. It's just a hallway. Yeah.
He can do all these crazy things in his apartment because he has this other place
with food and like a place to eat
and furniture.
Yeah,
which he brings up too at one point. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think when he meets with Silvio, the landlord, he's like, "Oh yeah, I like meeting Jerry's place. You know, it has a certain allure, what with the furniture and everything."
like when Jerry goes away for a job on the weekend, like I guess Kramer just like has free reign of Jerry's apartment, right?
Remember the cold open to that episode?
That one cold
where
open.
It just goes through what Kramer does when Jerry goes away.
Exactly, yeah.
Not even for a weekend. I think it's to do a set. He says, "I'm doing a set tonight. You hanging out?" And Kramer goes, "Yeah, I got it." And then it shows you like all the crazy stuff that Kramer...
He does like 50 things. Yeah.
Classic
Kramer. Classic. So then we got the calzone, which that's George and Steinbrenner mostly. The bottle deposit, no relationship stuff
but
there.
Great episode too.
Great episode. Great scheme too by Newman.
Yeah,
pulling it out at the last minute.
What do you think all those homeless people are doing collecting all those bottles? I don't know. They're deranged.
So then we come to the wait out. This is my like George, what the fuck are you doing at this point? Because he tells Carrie Elway's character or not Deborah Messing's character. He said, you could have done a lot better than him. And then later, Carrie Elway turns it around on him. And Susan says, "I need to think about things." And he packs up Susan's things and is like throwing them on the couch as she's gone for like an hour thinking. Like he's just like dancing around his apartment, smiling, singing when she comes back. And she's like, "I think I want to go with the white flowers." And he's like, "Oh," and just like drops her clothes.
Oh no,
that he's packing up.
Doesn't she go? I thought she goes with the chicken instead of the fish. No,
that's what it was. Yeah,
it was right. I think I'm gonna go with the chicken.
Like how's he gonna explain the fact that he started packing her bags?
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Doesn't she come home and go like, "What the fuck's all my stuff doing here?"
Yeah. Like what? Why are you? Are we going on a vacation? Is that what this is? Like, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
because he's so ready
Susan
to find a way out,
point?
though.
Right. So and in his mind, it caused a rift between Carrie Elways and Deborah Messing. He thinks it caused that same rift between them, which really it didn't. Like Susan knows she can't do any better. She's tried. She's even tried women. She knows she can't do better, and that's why she's there.
Yeah, she's in it with him, and she almost, I mean, not in like a perfect way is she in a relationship with George, but she thought through it more than George did. So like she at least
she took a lot of convincing.
She took a lot of convincing, apparently. We never saw that, but like she at least thought through, it seems. She thought through the fact that like, okay, well, I'm getting older. I do want to start a family, and apparently I'm not amazing because I can't settle down with a guy or a girl, so I guess I get Costanza.
Yep.
Whereas George took 1 hour of thinking at the beach, and that's the only grounding for this whole engagement.
Yep. So then we get to the invitations.
Oh.
Is it George's fault?
No. I mean, if do any of George's actions, cascade into what happened to Susan? Of course. But if fault is to mean anything, it would be the manufacturer of envelopes.
Yeah, why isn't he hiring Jackie Childs?
Because he got what he wanted out of that incident.
I guess,
can't win anymore.
He doesn't need more. Yeah, if he tries to win more, he'll end up losing,
and he'll feel guilty about it. Like he's willing to let that take care of his problem for him, and then that's it. Like let me fold while I'm ahead kind of move. I think.
And so the only way I would say that he contributed to it is not by buying the envelopes, not, and along your same lines, like the woman shouldn't have been selling those envelopes if they were that toxic.
Nor should you make
But-
glue that becomes so toxic that it kills people. So
Correct.
toxic that doctors know about it immediately. It seems as if she
Why
was
isn't-
killed by some sort of glue like those found on a cheap envelope.
Yeah, it's true. It's not even like they did a full autopsy report.
Yeah,
He
it was
just
just
immediately
a-
came back and was like, clearly this chick was poisoned.
Yeah, the ER doctor
Yeah.
figures
The
it
ER
out.
exactly.
doctor's hunch. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And why isn't Susan drinking any water as she's licking 200 envelopes?
yeah, she just looks like she's
Like that's what happened. She suffocated. She didn't have enough saliva left. Like she suffocated basically. So why isn't she drinking any water? Her mouth is getting
She's
dry.
She's
She's
also
tripping
not
out,
the
man.
sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, that's true. She had a high-paying job at NBC.
but Luke, you think she's good looking, right?
Well, I guess her parents are rich and important, so maybe she got some nepotism there and got the job at NBC.
That's
So
true.
true though.
I mean, her dad did know John Cheever.
Well, her dad did a lot more than know John Cheever.
No, he knew
He
John
knew John
Cheever.
Cheever hard.
What did he say? He something me in ways you'll never know.
Oh yeah, I think it was just like he understood me or loved me.
He comforted
He's
me in
comforted.
more ways than you ever
Yeah.
could. Yeah, it's something like
Yeah.
that. So the only way I'll put any blame on George is you're not gonna lick any of the 200 envelopes,
Right.
George. Like you can't do 3 of them. Come on,
But also,
step up a
But
little
that's
bit.
the envelopes are very representative of sealing his own fate. Like he says, that's it. We have the
Yes.
invitations. This is it. Once the invitations go out, it's over. Like it's very symbolic of the fact that like
And
that's
they,
it for him.
yeah, they did get a second postponement somewhere. The hall
the
messed
catering-
up and they got
the
postponed to
catering
June.
hall messed up. That
Yeah.
might have been earlier that episode or the episode before. It was like pretty close to that.
Yeah, I think it was the one
Yeah, it was
before.
pretty close to that episode, which was the finale.
And he was very, very excited
oh
for
yeah,
that.
he was elated.
Again, he
Yeah.
was dancing in the
Yeah.
streets.
question though, when's the last time any of you guys have licked an envelope?
I refuse to lick envelopes.
I just like wet it with something like a wet
Yeah.
paper
No,
towel
I
or
would never-
something.
I would never lick an envelope.
Like,
I think it's
I used-
disgusting.
Oh, I lick them. If I have the liquid, usually I have the self-stick ones where you just peel the little
Yeah.
thing off. I mean, I send out 1 envelope a month because I have to pay my landscapers by check. But
yeah, I
that's
do it for rent. I buy 1 envelope a month.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm paranoid of like, what if I paper cut my tongue? Like, I'm not looking to do that.
Also, I read that a
Oh, that's a-
story
that's
once
a
about
bad
somebody
look,
who
yeah.
licked an envelope and there was like a cockroach egg in there. And
Yeah,
they
no.
threw in there.
I'll
whatever.
just wet it.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
But I've also done this like mailing list thing. I was helping out this charity, so I was like doing like maybe 1,000 envelopes, and so I just had a wet sponge, and you just like
Yeah.
gloss it over the thing.
Yeah, they have little like
Yeah.
dabber, like almost like bingo dabbers where you could just like rub
She's licking
moistness
these
on them.
envelopes without any glass of water nearby. Clearly, she's getting more and more delusional.
They're expecting 200 people.
Yeah, we were expecting 200 people.
Well, so if you're expecting 200 people, that means you've got to send out at least 250
That's
invites.
true. Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
'cause and for a wedding, you probably send out invitations
What
even
people?
to people
Who does he know?
who you know aren't going to come, right? Like when you have a wedding, it's like, well, we know they're not going to come, but like you still have to send an invitation.
She probably knows a lot of people would be my guess.
I think it's mostly on her side.
All on her side of the family and
Yeah.
country club
because
shit.
they're probably
Yeah.
in these country club rich people
rich
things.
people things for sure.
I don't understand them.
Yeah.
And then the doctor sums it up perfectly in the series finale of what was George's reaction? Restrained jubilation.
Jubilation, yeah, that's right. In the
I would
That's it.
describe it as
That's
restrained
the whole
jubilation.
thing. That wraps up the whole thing.
And it is true, like, so as a concept zoomed out, it's like, has anything ever happened where it's awful for someone else, but it's actually good for you, and you had to feel a part of your brain kind of said, oh, thank God, but then you also thought, oh, God, but that's horrible for this other person. Like, that's a real experience that you have to deal with in life sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
One example
it is.
like, I'm in the music
Not to
world,
this level,
like,
maybe.
taking auditions, for example, like when somebody you want wins a job and then
Yeah,
the
right.
other person who lost the job, like you're like,
Mhm.
oh, like yes, and then you're like, sorry though, like you have that
Yeah.
mixed like reaction. This just happens to be the fucking dialed up as usual Seinfeld version of
Right.
Right.
like you're talking about a marriage you didn't want to be in, and the ticket out was that she died because of cheap envelopes that you bought.
Right. The closest
Mhm.
thing that you can get to like involuntary manslaughter with
Yeah.
being totally innocent. It's like technically, you
Yeah.
know? Like but that's what he did. He got out of it finally, not because he tried, not because he plotted or planned, because he's an idiot and he's a cheap idiot. And like, is he going to be happy now moving forward? No, but at least he got out of it. So it's like, where does that leave him? It leaves him to spiral further.
He could have crashed, right? He could have reset. Could have been like, oh my god, who what? If Seinfeld weren't Seinfeld, right?
If Seinfeld, but that's the beauty of why it is what it is.
It is what it is because it represents a part of all of us. There's
a core identity to it that I think that's why it's so attractive.
It's like, let's say the front left sector of all of our brains, like unintegrated from the other emotional parts.
Well, and like we said at the top, we can see ourselves in any one of these positions reacting the way they react.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just no normal person, even as normal as we are, which we've already established is not that normal because of this level of discussion we can have on this show that's 30 years old. We would only do one of these things.
Or think one of them.
Maybe 10 of them.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, but
we would never do all of
few of them, yeah.
Like occasionally I'll do it in a shallow sense, like when it doesn't really matter,
Right.
But
yes.
If it's like an actual deep life thing, like if I'm at a funeral, I'm not going around commenting on like the surface level things.
Yeah, right.
Making sure you're thanking Alec Berg for the Devil's ticket. So
it's like that's your main
tickets
concern.
To the next game.
Alec Berg.
Alec Berg.
Oh God.
Yeah, like when I'm actually at the funeral and I see the person crying for the person they lost, I'm like, Jesus, man, life is crazy.
You never get a good hello at a funeral.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that.
Yeah, did I get a good hello?
Although that's part of my brain, like, if you've ever been to a funeral, part of your brain is like, how do I keep it like shallow so that I don't get sucked in too deep to how awful death is or something,
Fair enough.
Or at Suze's funeral where he's telling Peggy how he slept with both of them.
Oh, at Susie's. Not only that, but I slept with both of them. Not only that, but I broke his thumbs.
I broke his thumbs.
And then he's just like smiling like an idiot. And everybody's like, what?
So 2 points I wanted to hit on before we go to the trivia challenge. Don't worry, listeners, we're in the home stretch. Her death takes place in the shadow of New Light. She's not actually dead if we find a way to remember her.
This is true. This is
That's
very
so beautiful.
True.
Wow. Did you just come up with that now?
No, it's from Star Trek.
It's from Wrath of Khan. That's the line that ruined my life. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I like Search for Spock. Jerry will say Wrath of Khan is better, but Search for Spock is clearly the better movie.
So it's the classic Seinfeld conundrum, which is like just when George thinks he's out, even though she's dead, he's still
pulled back in.
Sucked into the whole thing.
Can't get away.
He got genied.
So, and then
Luckily,
they're attempting in front of him.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my final point, was the house in the Hamptons.
Go for it.
They're doing everything they can blatantly to give his money to anyone that's not him.
Right.
And I feel like her parents did this on purpose because they think it's his fault she died.
So
they set up this foundation with Wick just to give away the money in front of George's face.
They straight up tell him in the Hamptons when they're in a field, because he goes, we got to walk from here.
Yeah.
And then he finally admits that the house in the Hamptons is fake. There's no horses. There's no whatever. And they go, we know, George. We don't like you. We blame you for Susan's death.
There's no solarium. There's no other solarium.
He breaks down first. He goes, why did you make me drive all the way out here? And they go, we never liked you very much.
Yeah.
And in fact, we blamed you for Susan's death. And George just goes, oh.
All right. Yeah, that he understands, though.
He's like, fair enough. That makes sense.
He can't stop torturing this family until he realizes they're torturing him for the same reason. And then he's like, all right, we're on the same level.
Yeah.
Now we're good.
Yeah.
That's when he can move on.
Yeah.
Could you personally imagine driving from New York City to the Hamptons, which is about 2 hours at least in the middle of the night, but probably 3 hours?
I was going to say I've done that drive. It's a long drive.
It's a long-ass drive. What's your plan? When you get 10 minutes into the trip.
What's that conversation like in the car? They stop for pies?
They stop for Hampton's tomatoes.
But he kind of goes like,
no, that's in the earlier Hampton. I think they get antiques or something.
Once he gets in the car, it's like, what do you think is going to happen? They're clearly in it for the long term.
If they get in the car,
what does he think? They're going to get to the Hamptons and they're going to cave first? Well, you're both losing anyways. You just wasted 6 hours.
You're already stuck.
But he's losing more because there is no house. Where is he taking them to?
Right. There's no way he wins when he gets out there. The only way is they win when he gets out there. But that's his short-sightedness. He can never see that.
I think that's really reflective of his character because they had no out from his. If you really look at his plan, it's what were they going to do? Say you call him out, and then what can he say? Let me prove it to you by taking you to my house in the Hamptons.
Right.
It's like, so at that point he has no out. But that's the engagement too. He's in it. It's too late.
It's the same thing with the arm injury with Lloyd Braun. He goes, I'll take this to the grave.
Yeah.
And he goes to the doctor. He does all the appointments. He could just admit to Lloyd Braun, who's a meaningless person, right?
Yeah.
Just say, I faked it.
Well, he works for Mayor Dinkins.
Well, I mean, like it doesn't really affect George in too much of a way that actually matters.
But he also winds up becoming that lie, because then he accidentally hits his arm and it starts twitching.
He bumps his elbow, yeah.
He's like, I bumped it in the office. Now I can't stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
He should have just kept going. He should have said, "Can you check it one more time, doctor, real quick?"
At that point, yeah. But he becomes the lie. That's what's so funny about it. Yeah.
Right. So that's George Costanza's engagement. And that's, I mean, what more can you say about it? I think we said everything there is to say about the engagement.
We said it, yeah.
Last little note I talk about George Costanza as I was watching today is, in general, the way he eats is crazy. Like, he's so impolite.
Oh,
he's just
it's
constantly
disgusting.
Mouth open, nom nom nom, like pasta flipping everywhere. He has gives no shits about how impolite he's being with the way he eats.
No shame.
It's most evident in the Fix Up episode when he's set up with Cynthia and they reconcile because he thought he got her pregnant and from Kramer's condoms.
Oh, yeah.
And so they reconcile and they all go to dinner, Jerry and Elaine and Cynthia and George, and he just grabs bread. He's eating like man hands, basically. Grabs bread, he's got his fork, his face is basically in his spaghetti, and Cynthia just looks at him and is like, that relationship is ending that night.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when him and Jerry are supposed to go to a movie, but then he gets engaged and he can't go to the Firestorm movie. This back in the beginning of the season. So Jerry goes to the movie. Right. Now they show them leaving the movie, and George had to go to the.
I have a question because, like I said, I sleep through these episodes. Is that guy that Jerry sees the movie with? Is that Maroon Golf from the Puerto Rican Day
who he walks out with, and they're like, "Remember when he was shooting?" I think that is Maroon Golf.
He's a bald black guy.
I guess so.
I think you're right.
So does Jerry know that guy?
But I haven't watched it closely.
Maybe that's part
enough.
of why Maroon Golf hates him, because he recognizes Jerry, but Jerry doesn't recognize him.
Oh, because I was thinking that
could be it. I think they met at the movie. I think they just met at the movie and were talking about the movie.
I thought they just met at the movie because one of the craziest things was George is standing right outside the door to the theater Jerry came from. So it's George and Susan. They had just seen their other movie, which must have ended pretty similar time.
Yeah, right.
And Jerry's walking out with this bald guy going like, "Oh my God, when Harrison Ford was falling from the plane, shooting back at the plane," he doesn't even stop to say hello to George, his best friend.
Nope. Yeah.
He just walks right past him.
No, George is dead to him at that
point. And George, this is George's fear. He's like, I'm irrelevant. I'm stuck in relationship mode while Jerry gets to do whatever he wants in single mode.
He gets to talk about movies and planes and guns.
Yeah, and he's gonna go home and eat a bowl of cereal.
Jerry's seeing Fast and Furious, and George has to see A Star Is Born,
or The Notebook or something.
Or The Notebook, yeah.
I forget what Susan says. It's like, do you think they make it? And George just goes, I sure hope so. And then Jerry's like, remember he was shooting at him, pulling out of the plane? And George is just he has that pathetic look on his face, like, I want that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right, guys. I think that's all we've got on George Costanza, but stay tuned. We have got the main event, the trivia challenge.
Yes. The trivia challenge is here.
You guys ask me a question first. We'll go back and forth. We got 5 questions each. We'll keep track of who the winner is. I've got 9 questions, but I'm only going to go 5.
I just have the one.
Okay, so I've got.
And I think mine is pretty hard because you can get it.
I've got a few here. Yeah. So you give yours first.
Okay.
So do you have 5 total?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have 6 total, and we'll give 5.
Okay, cool. I have 9, so I can move around if we ask the same question.
Cool.
So the episode, the Calzone, great episode.
Paisanos.
Nice commentary, Joe.
Yeah.
The episode, the Calzone, great episode.
One of the best episodes. So Jerry comes back to his apartment and he finds Kramer baking his shirt in Jerry's oven. And Jerry asks Kramer, well, why can't you bake your shirt in your own oven to warm it up? And what does Kramer tell Jerry he's cooking in his own oven as the reason why he can't bake his own shirt?
It's a casserole?
Oh, so close. No. It's actually a pie.
A pie. That was going to be my blackberry, boysenberry.
Well, I was going to say I have a follow-up question to that.
Peach.
What kind of pie?
Bonus, what kind of pie?
Yeah, bonus question. What kind of pie?
I'm baking a cherry pie. No, that's not right. I don't know.
Huckleberry.
Good question, though. Huckleberry.
It's a huckleberry pie, yeah.
Good question. All right.
A classic
Stumped
random
me
Kramer
on the
pie.
first one.
Yeah, Rand totally. It's
Yeah.
like, of course, Kramer cooks huckleberry pies.
Yes.
Like, it can't be simple, So,
All right. So here's my first question. You guys worked together on this, but no Googling.
yeah.
In the episode, The Statue, season 2 or 3, I want to say.
That's an early one.
What song was George singing when he dropped the statue? This would have been the first time he dropped the statue. He said he was singing a song.
You never done.
No.
How does?
Oh fuck! It's
It
like
was-
on the tip of my vocal cords.
Wait, was it something? You never met a girl like something?
Maria was in the name?
Yeah,
right?
Maria. Oh. Yeah, I'm blanking.
I'm blanking.
That's all I can remember. Yeah, if that's even right.
MacArthur. The name of the song is MacArthur Park.
How does it go?
I don't know. I think he says I got to the point where she goes away, and that's when he does his hands
Oh,
thing.
Oh,
and drops
that's a
it.
good one.
Oh, that's
Wow.
how he originally
Oh,
dropped
that's a
it
good
as a
one.
kid. Yeah.
That's how
That's
he
a very
originally
good
broke
one.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
All right, you ready?
Okay. Question 2. We're not off to a
No.
good start. Well, we're off to a good
That
start
means
with
we're
questions,
really
but
good
not
at watching
answers.
Seinfeld psychotically and coming up with questions.
And finding the little things that we don't think
Yeah.
anybody else will get.
All right, so this is from season 7. Kramer gets burned with the coffee, and he goes to Jackie Childs.
Oh, this is a
And
hard
Jackie
one.
Childs decides,
Mhm.
well, we need to get Mr. Kramer a doctor's appointment. What is the name of that doctor?
Dr. Bison.
Oh,
Nailed it.
Dr. Bison.
He's got a point. Oh,
Make an
nice.
appointment with Dr. Bison. Tell him,
Yeah.
tell him it's me.
Because I think he calls Dr. Bison in a separate episode,
Oh,
too.
that could be, yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds like...
The smoking one. The smoking one.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Call the... Hey, what's his secretary's name? Jackie Child's secretary? Like,
There's another trivia question.
he goes like, hey,
Ooh.
hey, Susie, call Dr. Bison. Make an appointment for Mr. Kramer.
Cindy. I think
Hey,
it's Cindy.
call Dr. Bison. Make an appointment for Mr. Kramer. Tell him it's for me.
Tell him it's
Tell him
for
it's for
me. Oh boy.
All right. I'm going to go with an easier one. I think it's
Okay.
easier. Season 4. What was the chef's name in La Cocina?
Como se dice waterbed?
That's George's off Broadway
off-
play that he
Oh, that's a
claims to have
good
written.
one. See, this is the kind my brother would get
Yeah.
immediately.
Was it Pepe?
Pepe.
It was.
It
It
was
was
Pepe,
Pepe.
yeah.
It was Pepe.
Pepe.
Yeah. Oh, Pepe.
That's what was
yes.
so funny. It's like, what was it about? That's what's so funny. They mimed
He
the whole thing.
mimed it.
It's like, wait, if you wrote a play where he mimed it, there's no play. Like, that's what's so funny about it. Oh, that's classic. Pepe. Okay.
All right, this one I got. Well, I'll do the slightly easier one first. This is not from season 7, George Susan. It's from a little bit earlier. I forget exactly. But complete this line.
Okay.
I'm not a soft-boiled egg.
Oh.
I know it. And I am not.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
You know the conversation.
Oh,
yeah.
It's in your subconscious.
It's-
Pull it out, man.
He's talking about pasteurization and
Yeah, yeah.
fumigation.
Yeah, you're totally there. You're right.
I've never had a
Oh.
soft-boiled egg. The other day, there I am, spreading it on.
A piece of toast.
Yep. And then
And
he
I am
goes,
not a piece of
George, I'm
toast."
not a soft-boiled egg. And he goes, and I am not.
And
a
I
piece
am
of
not a
toast."
piece of toast.
As if he's and that convinces her to get with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the episode The Pick when he had to get out of the relationship because he picked his nose because he didn't want to be with her again.
Right,
Oh,
right.
but yeah.
Who could think that George doesn't want to be with Susan?
But that just shows how like kind of useless she is. That it's like, oh, he makes a great point. It's like, no, he doesn't. Like, that's not what's happening there.
Not a soft-boiled
Toast
egg.
and soft-boiled
No,
eggs
not a piece-
Clearly go
Yeah,
together.
no.
It's like, cool, you both said you're not pieces of food. What does that have to do with humans getting together in a relationship?
So how do you like the eggs? Eggs are eggs. Eggs are eggs. That's very profound. By the same logic, could you say fish are fish? I don't think so. And he's just like, what is going on in this conversation?
Should have went with the omelet.
He realizes it there, yeah. All right.
All right, what do you got?
Number 3. This I'm going back to harder ones now. What was the name of the monkey that Kramer had an altercation with?
Coco?
No, Coco is the one that him and Jerry and Putty
Oh,
saw on TV.
Yeah. I just saw the same.
Wait,
monkey.
I know this.
Kramer has to apologize to him. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Like Frankie or Sammy or wait.
It ends in Y. You're on the right path there.
Barry
the monkey. Yeah.
Barry the monkey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
He's not. He's even forgone his autoerotic behavior.
I love my favorite line from that episode is Kramer goes up to Jerry and goes, "Hey Jerry, I tried to put the good word in for you with your girlfriend, but the whole left ear thing." And Jerry's like, "What?"
No, he says it to George.
Oh, George, I mean, sorry.
George, yeah. Sienna,
Yeah.
he's dating a crayon.
But he just says it so casually, like, the whole left ear thing. It's like, George is like, "What left ear thing?"
Like, George probably should have known that at this point.
Yeah. If he paid any amount of attention. Yeah.
So, I only gave myself half a point for number 3 because you helped me get so close to it. So you guys are winning right now.
Yeah, I'm
2 to 1.5.
All right, yeah.
Name.
Oh yeah, your turn. Go ahead.
Name the fireman who Kramer replaces on the back of that hooking ladder.
That's a good one.
I can't. I know right now I can't. I could sit here and think all day and I wouldn't be able to do it.
So
if you say it, I might.
His name was
remember
DeSoto, and the way we know that is they radio back
familiar.
there, and Kramer says, "DeSoto's gone, but Cosmo has the caboose."
Yeah,
Cosmo has the caboose.
Leaping Larry's.
That's a good one. That's tough.
You guys are killing me here.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to move to my my more difficult
come on,
ones.
let's do it.
Yeah, you got 9 there. Go to the
right.
throw it at us.
Go into the well. Dive in.
Who was Manhand's favorite president?
Oh, that's a good one.
Who was Manhand's favorite president? LBJ comes up like more than once in the series. I think I can think of at least.
It's not him.
Yeah. Was it an Andrew?
Nope.
I don't know then.
Not even close.
I can't even foster a guess.
Yeah, I think I'm. I'm gonna admit.
James K. Polk.
What's the context?
He's reading the. Elaine hands him the picture, and he asks about her, and she says, "I wrote all her information on the back." And he's reading, and he says she likes this and this. Favorite president, James Polk.
That's a good one. That's really good. That's really good.
All right.
Nice.
I needed to stump you guys.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so here's one that's just hilarious. It might be easy, although I asked a few family members at this little lunch thing the other day, and half of them got it, half of them didn't. Or half of them nailed it, and half of them sort of got it. Something like that. So George goes to the soup Nazi first time, and no bread, turns into a whole problem, right? They give his money back, all that stuff. Second time George goes, looks in the bag, he goes, there's bread, and he kind of like looks at the soup Nazi with a smile. What is the reply of the soup Nazi to George?
You're pushing your luck, little man.
Nailed it.
That's funny because when Luke asked me, I nailed it too. There's
and
something about
everybody
that line.
nails the accents too.
Yeah.
It's
something about the way he says it where you're just like,
just the delivery of it sticks.
Little man. Yeah.
Little man.
Oh, it lands so hard. Yeah.
It's just like, do you realize like I am so much more of a man than you, George Costanza?
Yeah.
Like
I make the soup.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
All right. Final question in the actual challenge.
Oh boy.
What year was the cabin built?
Ooh.
Originally.
I want to say 70s.
I want to say like 30s.
Closer.
40?
1947. It's a 47 cabin.
I was gonna. It's funny. I was gonna say 37.
Yeah, because it sticks. Because George says, like Susan says, it was built in 1947, and George says, "Oh, it's a 47 cabin." And this one, I thought I knew it, and I had to watch that part of the episode just to remember, like just to confirm that I knew it before I brought it here.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's good.
That's real tough.
All right, I won the challenge by half a point. Go me.
We'll take it. Fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for George Costanza today. Thank you guys for indulging me in my insanity. I have more Seinfeld topics to discuss in the future if you guys ever want to come back. If not, I'll have to find somebody else crazy.
I would say we're always on deck.
I would say we're down.
For more Seinfeld insanity, we're here.
We'll try and keep it under 2 hours next time, maybe.
We can try, yeah.
What's fun about like having a specific topic within Seinfeld, though, is it allows like the branching off into all the other aspects, but you don't go too far.
Right. This is like even our
bring it back.
even our 2-part episode, it's like we didn't touch upon 90%.
There's no way to touch on everything, and if you try, you're just going to get lost.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you could say we did in our episodes if anyone wants
to check. But that's also a good conversation. Yeah, that's also a good conversation to get lost in.
It's like bouncing from.
And you could argue that we got lost several times in this one.
That's fine.
We call them in our podcast. We call those rail slips.
We call them
rail slips.
Well, isn't that what we found out? That's
we used
what they
to
call
say,
it.
"Oh, we're going off the rails," but then Johnny said they used to call train derailments like it's. I forget what time period in China.
No, he said in China now, like today.
Oh, they call them rail slips.
They call them rail slips because it sounds less like embarrassing for like the state,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, we have accidental rail slip, like no problem," you know.
Yeah, like, as if it's just like a little bumper, like fender bender kind of thing.
Like you barely fell off, rather than the whole train's halfway off of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I see that.
Yeah, it makes a difference. So. Well, yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on. Nice to meet you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was great.
It's so funny that we barely know you, yet because we both know Seinfeld, we can just riff endlessly.
Like you just jump right into it.
Yeah.
It's like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
It's like we've known each other since the pilot 30 years ago. That's what it's like. Yeah, that's what it's like.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Make sure you check out the Thunk Tank podcast on all platforms. They're on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Thunk Tankers, right?
At Thunk Tankers, yeah. Thunk. THUNK, yeah. Thunk.
Any Facebook, Instagram, anything like that?
Yeah, we do have an Instagram where we usually post like a beer of the day. Like we'll put a craft beer that we're drinking that day. Because our podcast is generally like we try to combine craft beer with whatever conversation we're having.
Our third member, Johnny, he's a brewer, so he really brings a lot of the legitimate craft beer element to it. Like he's an expert, so we incorporate that.
Yeah, we got a beer history episode coming up, just kind of tracing, beer from the Middle Ages to now kind of vibe.
Yeah, we have some credentials.
Awesome.
A few.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So check that out. Check their episode. They did 2 on Seinfeld. If you sat through this much time on this one, definitely check theirs out because you enjoy Seinfeld on a pathological level.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, this is an ad about something. Audible, to be exact. Audible is a great way to catch up on all your favorite stories while on the go. Audible includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers. I've been using Audible for years on my daily commute to catch up on some of my favorite fantasy stories, including Harry Potter, The Once and Future King, and A Song of Ice and Fire, narrated by the Guinness World Record holder Roy Dotrice. I also love getting Audible's recommendations. Just recently, Audible recommended that I read Armada and Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and Spectacularly narrated by Will Wheaton. I listened to both of these stories and loved them both because the narration by Will Wheaton just made the stories even more enjoyable and immersive than if I would have read them on my own. So if you love books, I've got some great news for you. Right now, for my listeners, you can get any audiobook you want from Audible for free when you sign up for your free trial of Audible using audibletrial.com/apodcastaboutsomething. Again, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/apodcastaboutsomething. Thanks for listening.
And now it's time for the 2-minute ISO.
But first, listen to this promo from one of my fellow podcasters.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you!
That's right! We are Friday the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
get slayed!
So I just finished watching season 2 of Luke Cage. It wasn't really very good. I liked season 1 of Luke Cage. It was probably my second favorite season 1 of the Netflix Marvel shows. Daredevil probably still stands atop everything with Kingpin and all that. I really like Mike Coulter as Luke. I love Misty Knight. Shades is even really good, even though, he hams it up a bit at times. This season 2, we even got a good little look at Danny Rand, which I've said before, I kind of like Iron Fist. I know a lot of people don't, but, Danny Rand comes in and he kind of just does his thing for a couple episodes. There will be spoilers for season 2 of Luke Cage through the rest of this 2-minute ISO, so if you haven't seen it, probably turn it off now. Follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. But it was, season 2 was just, to me, it was really boring. I tried to watch, I tried to get into it, and I just couldn't get into it. No matter how much I tried, I was usually doing something else and found myself, whatever I was doing, I was focusing on that more than the show, which usually doesn't happen. Bushmaster was really, really cool. I wish they would have focused on him, but for some reason they focused a lot on Mariah Stokes or Mariah Dillard, whichever name you want to go with for her. A weird thing about the Netflix shows is they waste time on like these long drawn out scenes or tracking shots or like 360 shots of a character that don't really go anywhere. They don't serve any purpose other than they're trying to show that the directors are good directors or something like that. I don't know. It's just like for like 3 minutes we'll just be staring at a person walking or playing piano, and it's like that really slows down your show when you put it if you put it at the beginning or the end to kind of like show some reflection on what's either coming or what just happened. I get it, but they put it like right in the middle of the shows, and it just feels out of place every time they do it. My biggest problem though with season 2 was the aforementioned Mariah Stokes. Alfre Woodard just like, I don't know, she was just like off the rails this whole time. She was terrible, and I liked her in season 1 for the most part. I would have wanted more out of Masahura Ali, but like when she kind of replaced him, she did a good job then. But in season 2, she just like, she's always making these really weird facial expressions, and she emphasizes her words in a way that like people don't talk. She just would make these faces and say these things, and it never made sense. She didn't feel like she was in the room with the rest of the people ever. She was just kind of like there on her own, trying to do her own thing, and it never fit. I just, the whole time I was watching, I just wanted her to die, and she had a couple close calls throughout the season. I don't want Alfre Woodard to die. I mean, don't want to kill real people, but I wanted Mariah Stokes to die. I wanted Bushmaster to get her and for them to focus more on Bushmaster, and that never happened. Like, she just kept making and then eventually she did die at supposedly at the hands of her daughter, which I don't know if that's what happened or not. They could pull some crap of, her daughter didn't give her a potion that killed her. She gave her one that made her look like she was dead. And now she's back for season 3. I really, really hope it doesn't go that way, because I was at the end of my rope with Alfre Woodard as Mariah Stokes. Like, I'm done with it. Bring in a new villain for the next one. It looks like, Luke Cage might be kind of the villain, and he's got to make his way back to being good in season 3. So hopefully they kind of rebound in season 3. It just felt like the whole season was trying to teach me a lesson, but the lesson never landed. I don't know what the lesson was, but it seemed like all these things were happening that were supposed to be pointing to a lesson. It just never made it. It was like they kind of introduced these lessons and then just trailed off with them and never finished actually teaching the lesson. But that's my review for season 2 of Luke Cage. I didn't really like it, but I feel like, as you've heard here before, I'm a completist, so I'll watch every season of everything that comes out. I probably won't get Iron Fist in before Daredevil season 3 comes out in October, but I'll do Iron Fist soon. Probably want to watch. Probably gonna catch up on Better Call Saul first, and then go to Iron Fist. And I got Ozark out there still too that I got to catch up on. So I got a lot of TV to consume and not much time to do it. So, but that's my review for Luke Cage 2. Thanks for listening. Thanks again to the Thunk Tankers for coming on for this 2-part mega cast. Had a lot of fun with them. There will be more Seinfeld in the future for, again, the 5 of you that are still with us through part 2. Thanks for listening. Again, you can always follow me on Twitter at APA something. You can send feedback through email to a podcast about something at gmail.com. If you feel like donating, hit our Patreon up at patreon.com/podcast about something. We've also opened up a PayPal if you don't feel like setting up a monthly donation subscription. Send me some money on PayPal, podcastaboutsomething@gmail.com. Whatever, if you want to donate, it's not free to run this, so anything that you want to give always helps. And I got to cover hosting costs and equipment costs, things like that, so anything you can do to help is always much appreciated. If you do help in any way, you get a shout out on the show. And I got stickers right now that will probably do some giveaways here in the future. There'll probably be some Twitter giveaways from this episode with those stickers, so stay tuned for that and stay classy.